Hello there, my name is Jack Hammond, and I'm here for Senior Project Status Report Week 5 on my Quick Budget Builder project. And now I do have a GitHub link that does have stuff in it because we started doing code this week. So, status report. This week I'm on track. Did about 10 hours, so 33 total so far, about 93 remaining expected. Um, this week, did a lot of fun stuff. So, I set up Visual Studio. I've used Visual Studio Code before, but Visual Studio is a little bit um, more industry standard from people I've heard, and a little bit more optimization and a little bit less user friendly. But so it's fun. It was not bad. It was very similar to VS Code. And then I set up a new project. Luckily, there's a pretty nifty template for the ASP.NET Core Web API. And then I set up a UI in order to interact with it and test it because Microsoft's .NET Core Web API does not come with any sort of UI to use. And then I set up basic controller as well as models to store classes and services to do some of the hard calculations. And then I tested that backend functionality, worked great. And then I found a good data source for implementing zip codes and how to convert the zip codes from the user into an average cost of living. Next week is to start doing some basic React using VS Code, and then try to expand budget calculator with some more actual calculations. Blockers this week. Interesting enough, the thing that gave me the biggest trouble was trying to troubleshoot. I got an error with that UI, that swashbuckle extension. And what I figured out is because I needed the .NET, the latest version of Swashbuckle did not work with the .NET 9.0. So took a lot of looking around in forums till I finally figured out the answer. Because I tried a bunch of other fixes till I finally figured out that extension does not like 9.0. Didn't want to remake the whole project. Luckily, I found an earlier version of Swashbuckle that was compatible with 9.0. And so I'm glad. So I got to keep my work so far. Questions for you, brother girl? Domain hosting. Should I use just a default GitHub page? It has a nice little thing where you can host a website live under just your username / repository name. Or should I look for some sort of custom domain or anything for this project? And no other comments. Going great. Oh, I will say thanks for your input last week. That did help put things in perspective. And I do feel a lot better now, a lot more on track, getting some code down. Which brings us actually to our demo, which I'm happy. I am going to go ahead and open up VS Code. So right now I have, right now, let me go through. So we have this is all the template stuff, which I said was pretty nice. The only thing I changed is budget controller is because there was just like some default, just basic, a getter and a setter with a weather controller that has with the default from Visual Studio. Change that all to be for a budget instead of weather. I added a few different classes here in models where a budget input, which is just a way to store the income, rent, lifestyle, and zip code as variables inside that class, and then a result, which is a way to store the utilities, groceries, and savings. So some of the actual budget numbers, a way to store those as variables as well. And then the controller will go and take in the user input as a JSON. It'll create a new calculator, which is this services over here. I'll make a new calculator object and run those calculations and take in the input, put it in as the new budget input, so it has those nice variables that can be understood, run the calculation, and return the result. So the budget calculator right now, I have it where just a default 1.0 multiplier for the zip code, but I did find a website that I'll show in a second that will be able to convert zip codes to cost of living. And then it will go right now. The budget calculator will go and just take your monthly income and multiply it by a small amount just to get an average utility grocery savings. Like I said, it's more about testing it to make sure it works instead of getting actual numbers. That will be coming in the further weeks. And when I run it, I have it running right now. We can see it is right here. So this is the Swagger UI. It's pretty helpful. Right now I can go ahead and I can post and I can try it out and say, let's say, hey, if I say my monthly income is $2,000, my rent is $1,000, my lifestyle, and right now I'll leave them a string. They don't do much. Then I execute. I get a 200, good response, and it'll just give me some utilities, grocery savings. So it is working, which took longer than I was expecting to get working, but it's all working now. And then next week I'm planning on having React, so this looks a lot prettier. And then I also wanted to show real quick, this is a good website I found, and then I'll just go and pull the data from here. Like, for example, if I set Madison County, Idaho, it shows by zip code average cost of living for one bedroom, which is below the average. So I would have that be like 0.08, however much below the average it is. That's where that multiplier would change. So yeah, I'll have that multiplier for zip code as well as a multiplier for lifestyle expenses. And then, of course, actual more calculations. But thank you. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. Thank you and have a good day.